like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would get mad if you woke me up too. Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to BlackUSA.News morning show. How you like that, Marsha Jude?
Well, look at you. Go ahead, Donnie Glover. Congratulations. This is wonderful.
We are official.
We are official.
David, you are on the first ever BlackUSA.News morning show.
Good morning.
And do check out our new website, BlackUSA.News. Go Ravens.
Go Ravens.
Good morning.
Ravens.
So, David Miller, before we get started, I need to caution you about the ground rules. So I'm going to ask you intelligent questions. But after that, I don't know. You might get banked by these two ladies.
Hey, I grew up in Baltimore. I've been banked before.
All right. Well, you better watch this one right here, Kavette Minor Kane. You better watch her.
Okay. All right.
She got a sneaky left hook.
Okay.
But before we get started, Marsha, are you watching this mayor's race in New York City?
Not yet.
Oh my goodness. I was on you, David Miller, Frank Johnson, Alexis just harassed me to death about this clubhouse. And I mean, my God, you need a coach to get you down the road. David Miller is that coach. You don't want to do this, you want to do that. You know all of the tidbits with clubhouse. Well, anyway,
be cautious.
Yeah, I went into one room and my God, David, you described it well during a session. I was like, wow, I must be old. The language. Marsha, they were raw. But look, Ray McGuire was on the clubhouse on Saturday night, and he's one of the black people running. I think they got about 5 black people running for office, running for mayor. But Ray McGuire is the black guy from Wall Street.
You know what I learned about this weekend, Donnie? There's actually a black version of Clubhouse. It's
good.
The Cookout.
It's called a Cookout.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's invitation only. You can go online and register, or you can go through the application and register through their website. But I was amazed to learn about that, and interesting to see if I get an invitation. So I'm looking for that. I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
Well, with Clubhouse, can't you apply yourself? Because I was told you had to get on Clubhouse by invitation.
You gotta have it. Yeah, you got. Well, you can put in an application to request an invitation on Clubhouse as well, but you got to wait for somebody to invite you.
Well, that don't take long.
No, now it doesn't, because there's so many people on.
Okay.
I'm talking about Cookout. Cookout is new. Okay. I understand.
Okay, so let's get to David Miller. Kavette Kane, what do you know about Toussaint Louverture?
I know the name, but I don't know much about Toussaint Louverture. Please forgive me. Please educate me.
Have you ever heard of Nat Turner?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Denmark Vesey?
No.
That's why you got to pick up the next book that I put out that's going to be on Black Wall Street. Have you ever been to Jamaica?
So Jamaica? No, I haven't actually been to Jamaica. I live in Puerto Rico, but I haven't been to Jamaica yet.
I don't know if they did any fighting in Puerto Rico. In Jamaica, Nanny the Maroon Queen.
They did.
Who led the revolution?
In Puerto Rico, I can't name names, but there was African.
This is Black History Month. We need names.
I know. No, it is Black History. Puerto Ricans will tell you, and I was told very clearly and very distinctly.
But you don't have the name.
That they have the African history there.
We need the name.
Then I have to get the name. I got a day for that. I'll give it to you tomorrow morning.
Well, I've got a name. The Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference is coming up, and this is the only way to kick off Black History Month, learning about people and products that they've created. It's going to be from February the 11th through the 13th, 2021. 35 years as the most anticipated diversity event of the year. This annual conference is talent rich for recruitment, networking, and professional development. In attendance are corporate leaders, college representatives, thousands of professionals and students from across the country, representing all types of levels from entry level to CEOs in science, technology, engineering, math, STEM disciplines and careers. The fields of expertise represented at the conference are as diverse as the men, women, and children who attend. Highlight for this year's upcoming conference, February the 11th through the 13th, is the HBCU Village, K through 12 Village, Interview Village, HBCU Reunion. If you want to attend, and it's all virtual this year, and we did virtual for the women of color in October, and it was wonderful. Go to www.beya.org, www.bey.org. Thank you.
BEYA.org.
Bye. We'll see you later.
Okay.
It's Baya. It's Baya, not Bay, Baya. Baya.org.
Okay. So David Miller, good morning. How are you, sir?
So Marsha just dropped the mic and bounced. Okay. All right.
She'll
good.
Be back.
I'm good.
She'll
I'm good. I'm good.
She's changing.
She's going into the telephone booth.
Okay, she's changing into a Superwoman costume.
It's not a costume.
Well, as an entrepreneur, you have to wear many hats.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So anyway, it's great to have you, David. Happy Black History Month.
Same to you, man. Super excited to be on your debut show.
Well, at least with under the new brand, Black USA.
Definitely under the new brand.
Yeah, so this is actually a collaboration, something you often speak of. You know, it's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Go together.
Thank you, David Miller, for being one hell of a friend over the years. Life in these North American plantations is not always so easy. There she goes. She got a cape on now.
She went in the phone booth and changed and came back.
There she is. She came back out, ready to roll. That's my girl.
So let's
right?
That's for Donnie.
That's how you fight yourself, man.
I told you I know how to fight. Y'all think I'm cute and all that, honey. I will get down. Don't play with me.
Take you over to Mac Lewis, put the gloves on you. Okay.
Right on. Carl Reeves was a boxer, baby. He showed me what to do. Don't play with me.
Don't like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
David Miller, you have been considered the guru.
So patient. I love you, David. You are the calming force. You are the calming force, baby. Just hold on. Keep that right there.
Okay, first station again.
Remember, you used to tell me about a shallow puddle of water.
Man, you funny, Donnie.
And he's knee deep in it.
You are funny. So what's up, y'all? What's up? What's going on?
I was trying to pose the question, but I figured I'd let my co-host.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna sit right here and be still.
Okay, David, one thing that you have talked about, and this is a serious note. From what you've taught me, I am so mindful of the females that I deal with. I have to find out if they have any daddy issues.
Where'd that come from? Ooh, Lord, LAWD.
Donnie. That's a. Let me just say that that's a whole nother show in itself, man.
Woo, Lord, you got that much time. That sounds like a year's worth of shows, child.
That's a whole nother show, Donnie. That's a whole nother. Which I think we need to have. I'm working on my dissertation at Morgan State, looking at the relationship between Black fathers raising daughters, and that's a whole nother conversation that we need to have. If we are serious about winning in the Black community. We talk a lot about the relationship between fathers and sons, but we gotta we got to go deeper in terms of the sacred relationship. And I have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
And even though most people know me for my work with Black men and boys, I decided to focus on Black fathers raising daughters as a research topic, because most of the academic research looks at Black fathers from a deficit, right? It's not strength based. And then when you look at fathers raising daughters,
hold on, we got to go back to that. As a deficit, you need to explain that. What does that mean exactly?
So the vast majority of research looks at Black fathers as dads who are unengaged, uninvolved, not interested in being fathers, incarcerated, struggling with mental health issues, and that are just disconnected. That's what most of the research says. There are some fairly new bodies of work that really talk about dads from a strength-based perspective, but when you actually look at the data, and this isn't even what we were supposed to be talking about this morning. But when you look at the data, if you look at the 2013 CDC report on fathers, Black fathers statistically are more involved and more engaged in positive activities with their children than dads in any other racial group, whether it's bathing their children, doing story time with their children, picking their children up, taking their children places, just under what we consider to be engagement. But what happens is we continue to believe this myth that all Black fathers are disengaged when the research tells us something very different.
Wow.
And I'd like to come back and talk a little bit more specifically about what we know about the relationship between fathers and children, and then what we know about the relationship between fathers and their daughters.
So, David, I asked you about Toussaint for obvious reason. The name of your upcoming book has to do with Toussaint Louverture.
Right, Donnie, and I have the book in front of me. This is my new book. It's called Chef Toussaint, and the lead character is named after Toussaint Louverture. What I try to do in my children's books is I try to incorporate historical African-American figures. And so in one of my other books, one of the lead character is named Booker Taliaferro Washington Green, named after Booker T. Washington. And then I have another book. Almost all of the children's books that I've written have been focused on boys, trying to encourage boys to read. But I actually have a book coming out, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, April or May. It's called Winnie, the Wizard of Wall Street. The lead character is named after Winnie Mandela. And the front cover is a picture of this 8-year-old beautiful Black little girl with her briefcase and her business suit. And she is a financial wizard, and she's only 8 years old.
That's fabulous.
So I do books that are designed to help people dream, to help children dream. So all of the books that I write are designed to breathe life into our children and our community.
David, I can't help but wonder, in the middle of Baya, do you have any books planned that will come out with any techno stars in it? I mean, Marsha would love to feature that over at Baya one year.
Yes, and I need to talk to Marsha, because I have a book that I wrote. I wrote a middle grade novel a year ago about a little boy. His name is Caleb.
Oh, I thought his name was like T-Square or something.
No, his name is Caleb. He is he's 6'11". He's a real tall guy. He's 6'11", and he's 10 years old, in the 4th grade, and he wants to be a scientist, and he actually wins this major science fair. So it's going to take me about 3 months to finish the edits, but the book is already written. It's a chapter book.
Tyrone also has a foundation, and one of the major at Career Communications Group, the founders of the Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference, And one of the beautiful things about this is the foundation is the foundation for educational development, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to put myself out there and say it, but I'm sure that Tyrone would love it to be able to have a product like that, and or a product with a young girl doing technology would be beautiful within his inventory of products. All of the sponsors are always looking for things that are empowering, mm-hmm. We need an offline conversation.
Let's talk
about
offline.
That. Yes.
And I know
my brain is going now. Yes, because I got this right.
I know your grandson loves this. This is Khalil's way.
Yes.
Khalil, I'm trying to make it get it in the frame.
You're there.
Khalil is an 11-year-old math genius.
Yes.
He could do college level math and he's only 11. I couldn't do college level math when I was in college.
I love it.
And so this is a really inspiring story about an 11-year-old boy. He, even though he's a math wizard, you see him with his chessboard. He's an avid chess player, but he's also ADHD. He's also ADHD, and he has severe food allergies. And so, again, I try to create realistic. I try to create realistic characters.
And that's real.
And what I'm saying to people is, there's so much beauty and authenticity in our community. If we could just get to the point where we just really support each other. Period. Like, I mean, if we could get to the point when people meet me and I tell them that the majority of my disposable income I spend with Black people. I only use Black professionals. I rarely even let somebody in my house to fix something unless they Black. I've sent people away and be like, I don't know, man, because I just believe that I believe in tribal economics, and other communities do it. Why can't we do it? So I'm just asking people to support my books. Everybody knows a Black child, whether you have grandchildren, nieces, or nephews. And like I said, this is my new book. It launches on Wednesday. And again, I'm trying to get it in the center of the screen.
Yeah, just move it a little bit to your right. Yeah, there you go.
And so Chef Toussaint is a 9-year-old master chef.
And he's cute.
Thank you. He's recreating his grandmother's recipes. His grandmother owned a popular restaurant, and this is a fiction story. His grandmother owned a popular restaurant in Jackson, Mississippi. I spent a great deal of time in Jackson, Mississippi doing some work.
Wow.
A couple of years ago, and fell in love with Jackson. But this is an amazing story about young people dreaming. And he's only 9 years old. He's been on the Food Network cooking channel, but you got to pick up the book.
So, David, how do people buy your books? I know you've got them stacked up at different locations, but would you give us a website or something where people would be able to go at any time and purchase your book?
Right. So first, I got to give a shout out to the Black bookstores, because Miss Jews and Miss Kane, we have lost 50% of our Black bookstores over the last 10 years. So we got to support Black bookstores. In Baltimore, I'm at Everyone's Place.
Okay.
If you're in Baltimore, you want to go to Everyone's Place. The brother Nati over the years has been one of my biggest supporters. Whenever I come out with a book, he'll just buy the first 100 copies for me.
I love it.
And distribute them across the country. So Everyone's Place in Baltimore, dynamic Black bookstore. If you're in DC, one of the hottest, fastest growing Black bookstores is Mahogany. They sold over 100,000 books in 3 months. Mahogany bookstore in DC. And I'm in Sankofa bookstore across from Howard University. I'm in a number of Black bookstores across the country. While I'm on Amazon, I'm always trying to suggest to people, when you want to purchase books, go to the author's website, right? Because if you order it off of Amazon, then Amazon takes their percentage. And I don't mind if you go to Amazon. I would rather you come directly to me. And
so give us your website. Yes.
Give us your website. My website is daretobeking.net. daretobeking.net. My new book will be up on the website by Wednesday, but you can get Khalil's Way, you can get The Green Family Farm, you can get Brooklyn's Finest, and some of my other books. But go to my website. In order to get the new book, I'll post something on social media, but we're doing a big launch on Wednesday. And the reason, ladies, why this is so important, and I don't think most people realize this, when you talk about books coming, Black children's books that are published through major publishing houses, in 2018, only 10% of the books published nationwide were written by African Americans with African American characters. Now, the reason why that's so troubling is because when you look at that same data set, 27% of children's books were published about animals or insects. So you got more books published about animals and insects than you have about Black children.
Wow. That's huge. And the reality is that people probably haven't even thought about children's books, right? And especially now in a time of COVID where children are in place, many of whom are not even in school. They're being trained or educated at home. And this is a perfect time. I mean, I have to really say something about my grandson because he loves to read. So we do want a couple of copies of yours. And I got some other people I want to send to, so we'll talk offline. But Peyton sits in his room and we all live together. And honey, he is in there giggling, reading his books. You can hear him laugh and belly laughs while he's reading his book. Peyton, what you doing? All that noise. Oh, I'm reading my book. Go. And he goes on back to, like, shut up, why you disturbing me, kind of, but that's what we want. And, I was taught to read. I talk about fondly, it wasn't funny and loving then, but my parents used to fish and they would go all the way up to Michigan or Wisconsin, whatever, in these, I guess, freshwater lakes, right? And I couldn't talk in the boat. Can you imagine me not talking? Like, for real? Right. My father said, this is what we're going to do. And we had the bookmobile. Now, that was a long time.
Oh, yeah.
We had the bookmobile. You see the gray hair, right?
I remember
and
that.
I'd have to get my books and I'd stack them up in that boat. And I would read those books. And I would read those books. And I read today because of that boat, sitting in that boat and not being able to talk because I might disturb the fish. But anyway, that's huge. And we have to find these opportunities for our children to be able to get the love of books, to dream, to see, to imagine. And if you have those positive things to be able to look at, your children will absorb that positive influence. And that's what it's all about. It's about being able to dream, be able to see beyond the end of your street, being able to see outside your door, and to have that vision of what could possibly be when you grow up, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note, Marsha, I do have a friend here in the DC area, and every Thursday night she hosts online a story time with her daughter. Her name is LaJoy Law, and she recently ran for state board representative for Ward 8 in DC. She did not win that race, but she has continued with her promotion of education in the area and online. And she, through the quarantine, opened up that story time with her daughter where she reads a book every Thursday evening, and even got acknowledged by Michelle Obama for having done so. And, it's just a fabulous opportunity. Wow. So when I heard about, when you start talking about your books, that was the first thing that came to mind for me. I'm definitely getting.
Let's get back to David Miller. David, you are big on education. Have you been following what's happening here in the city of Baltimore?
I have, but really quickly, Donnie, Miss Kane, I live in Ward 8, so can you make the connection?
Do you?
For me?
Absolutely.
I live in Ward 8.
I will make that connection for you.
Well, Donnie, anything education related in any school district across the country, I try to make sure that I stay immersed. I think the challenges that are happening, not just in Baltimore, but across the country, is we're putting teachers in a really precarious situation. teachers are already overwhelmed, overworked, underpaid pre-COVID. Now, you know, it's interesting that now all of a sudden we want to have a lot of conversations about the health and wealth and mentality of teachers, but teachers have always been overworked, right, underpaid, and underappreciated. And I think when we think about, you know, where we are as a nation, particularly dealing with COVID, I just think that oftentimes I understand that you know, there are a lot of parents who can't afford to, you know, to stay home or whatever the case may be. But I just think that we got to be more strategic and be more mindful of the larger health implications when we start talking about sending children back to school, and move beyond emotions and really look at health science.
Well, the reason I ask is because right now there's a petition online. Of course, you can go to Be More News to see the story, but Save Edmondson Westside Career and Technology Courses. A petition, say no to cuts to Edmondson CTE. And it goes something like this: we need your help. Baltimore City Schools is considering cuts to the following careers and technology education programs at Edmondson Westside: accounting, business administrative services, carpentry, baking, culinary, Cisco networking pathway, PLTW engineering, automotive technology. Cutting these programs from Edmondson Westside will reduce the career and entrepreneurship opportunities our young people have after graduation, and that's simply unacceptable. David, I do not understand how in a majority Black city with a majority number of Black elected officials, with a number of Black people on the Baltimore City Public School Board, why in the hell are we closing programs at Edmondson Westside?
I don't think, I think part of the challenge, Donnie, is we still think that everybody's going to go to college. And that's just not not realistic. And if anything, we need to be expanding trade options. A couple of years ago, I was in Ohio, and I was at a school called McKinley Tech. I was in Canton, Ohio, and I was blown away by the robust trade and tech options that they had in the high school. You could go into the basement of the high school, and they were literally, you had young men and women literally rebuilding cars, right, as part of their auto, you know, whatever you call it. It was their auto trade. And so I just think that getting rid of trades, whether it's cosmetology, masonry, you name a trade, I think that is troubling at best.
It's more than that. It is really an outrage. If we look at all that's required right now, we just talked about the Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference. People can go and get certified and go and make $50,000, $60,000 in a trade, understanding what to do with all these different technologies that are going on, from wiring things to the infrastructure, all of the technology. We have to stop playing with our education, and we as Black people have to be serious about who we are and what we have expected for our future. And we can't keep sitting around dealing with this foolishness. How do you shut down a school that has shown that it's required? The jobs that are there, you can go at NSA if you have a certification. You can go to the Department of Defense if you have a certification. There are employment opportunities as soon as you walk out the door, just with the technology alone. Everybody needs help with their cars. Everybody loves to wear clothes, so you could be sewing and making repairs. We have to, I don't know what's wrong with our thinking and what our expectation is for what the future is going to look like if we don't prepare our children.
And Marsha, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. What were you going to say, David?
No, I was just going to say, Marsha, myself, you, Donnie, and and some other folks were having this conversation the other night. One option that I think that we need to explore is, and it's not necessarily my area of interest or focus right now, but I would lend my services. We just need to start opening up some charter schools, because even though charter schools is not the end all be all, when you look at a city like Philadelphia, when you look at a city like DC, when you look at a city like Baltimore, overwhelmingly the charter schools are run, owned, and operated by white people. So
that's their kids.
That's a solution. That is an absolute solution, because it's not about looking for somebody else to come and say, oh, here, let me hand you this as a solution to the problems in your community. It is up to us to create the solutions and then to act and be held accountable by each other to make sure that this is followed through on. And so in that conversation, David, because I was there, we talked about some recreation centers that are getting ready to be reconstructed or renovated so that they're able to promote some education opportunities, as well as some sports and athletic opportunities for our kids to be able to stimulate themselves. Because while sports and music is not always the focus, they are definitely an outlet which will encourage their motivation towards the technology, towards the math. It provides an opportunity for them to learn and to put into application the scientific information that they need, and to recognize how practical it is. And that's what it is in our community. We are practical people. We learn by doing. We learn by seeing how something is applied in everyday life. We are able to benefit when it's shown to us. And so we need to have these schools. We need to have these education programs. We need to have those charter schools that you're talking about, including additional recreation centers, because in that conversation, we talked about how long it's been since many of those recreation centers have been updated as well. And that's a challenge. If we don't have resources in our neighborhoods for our kids to be able to come into so that they feel like they've got support, then they're not going to act on anything. They're not going to feel strong enough to move forward.
David, you're from Baltimore, but you live in DC. What do the recreation centers look like in Washington, DC?
Oh man, the Parks and Recs department in DC is on steroids, man. I mean, like just the pools, indoor pools, outdoor pools, have a really solid recreation system. But again, Donnie, going back to what Ms. Kane was saying, when we have these conversations, there are solutions and there are opportunities. We gotta be bold enough. Like so, for example, I would love, you see all of these young people who want to do something in music. You know, they want to be a rapper. They want to learn how to make beats. Why don't we have a middle school, a charter school, middle school, high school that really focuses on engineering and sound design? Because see, that could be the carrot that gets a kid that doesn't want to go to school, that wants to be a rapper or a DJ or a producer. And you have all of your academic subjects, but your major is sound engineering. That's the thing that's going to bring some of those more hard to reach.
I know,
David, that takes it to a whole nother level, because it's not just about the rapping and the music, but it's also understanding how they can create the scores for our movies, how they can participate in even sound engineering where science is concerned, being able to create energy and those kinds of things. It is such a vast field, and what we need to do is to open up those areas of thought for our kids so that they can then take it for themselves and run with it.
Well, first we need to open up the thoughts of the adults and the leadership.
I was going
to. Well, we gotta have the adults in the place.
But the point of it is, we have voted for people. We've put people in position who are supposed to be the leadership, and we are the constituents who pay taxes, who are supposed to get the services that we need for our people
and hold them accountable.
We were supposed to be, my grandson is being homeschooled right now because there wasn't an environment that was conducive for his brilliance. And Sandy did not want to have that stamped out in some madness where people don't really care about our children. And so she made a life decision that this is better for her son to be able to thrive and to be the man he needs to be. So what we're saying is, when we look at the money that is spent, $11 million on some daggone traffic cameras, versus $11 million that needs to be in our school system. There's something fundamentally wrong with, I don't care who you are, I don't care what your name is, I don't care what your title is. There's something fundamentally wrong if you don't understand that the education of a people, what does it say? Who was that said this, David? I know you know. The education of a people will perish if they don't have something. What was that? What's that?
Malcolm X.
Say it again. Say it, because I know you know what it is.
Education is the passport to the future. And let me just say this, Marsha. I understand the emotions. I understand the frustrations. But I'm telling you, Dr. Martin Luther King talked about, we have to create an environment where the federal government will be willing to partner with us.
Right.
And I guess what I am saying is, whether we're talking local jurisdictions, state jurisdictions, the problem is we've been waiting for somebody to do what they said they're going to do, and they're not going to do it. And so the reality is
holding them accountable.
The reality is we got to have an inside-outside game, right? The outside game is we got to hold all of those secondary institutions accountable. The inside game is we got to focus on primary institutions, what we can do. See, I just really believe that if we created 3 or 4 Black-owned and operated award-winning charter schools, we collect the data and we can make a compelling argument that this is our thing, that we're running it the way that we want to run it, and look at what we're producing. We can put greater pressure on the society, on the leadership. That Marsha and Donnie and Miss Kane, well, Donnie and Marsha really know me. I just don't have faith in the political process. I vote, but I just don't have faith in the political process. I think and while there's some amazing politicians in Baltimore and across the country,
however,
I believe more in the people. I believe more in. So when people when people talk to me about what can we do to reduce crime and violence in communities, my response is not more police. My response is, how do we invest in neighborhoods? How do we empower people in neighborhoods to be able to address many of the survival and developmental needs in our community? We keep waiting for, whether you call them leaders or elected officials, we keep waiting for people to do some of the things that we could do for ourselves. And that's the reason why we're in the situation that we're in right now.
Well, it's a vicious cycle.
Can I just get one point in?
Go ahead, Dominic.
You mentioned, David, the need for a music studio. And you said it would be nice if we could have one for the young people. Right?
In a school that it's part of when you develop a charter school.
I got a point on me. You think our young people need a music studio?
You missing my point.
No. Do you think we all agree our young people love music and would greatly benefit from having somewhere to go and practice their craft, right?
But it wouldn't be just a studio. It would be woven into.
I understand that. I'm very clear about the long term, but what I'm talking about is why, when we supposedly have a young mayor, is something like that not already done?
Well, again,
is it rocket science? Am I missing something?
No, and again, I don't.
And then this is a follow-up. We have a ton of nonprofits in this city who write grants to serve the impoverished. But we don't see a damn thing in East and West Baltimore except talk. Thank you.
So two things. I don't want to get into individual people. I want to look at what I think are solutions. And I really believe a charter school that focused on sound engineering would be a great draw and could be a great model, right? They're not, because I'm thinking, because the way that I would envision it is you could there are careers in sound engineering, right? And so I just think that we got to be more creative in terms of our educational offerings. I think a school that focused on auto detailing, like that could actually be the trade, but you would still take the other academic subjects. And it may be a school with only, maybe 200 or 300 students. It doesn't have to be a large school of 500 or 600 students.
But recognize, David, that is exactly what makes the other subjects relevant for the kids. I'm
not clear about why our adults in 2021 don't have viable solutions for our young people in the city of Baltimore. It's beyond. You pay people survival mode. What it is. You pay your school CEO $350,000 a year for what?
So Donnie, let me just say this. Let me just say this. My focus, my energy, my interest, and we can all disagree. There's beauty in disagreement. I'm really interested in what are so I know the work that Aaron Mabin and them are getting ready to do at Hilton Recreation Center. Yes. I'm really interested in a big shout out to Aaron Mabin and Tori Smith and others.
They're wonderful.
I'm more interested in. See, I'm from that Elijah Muhammad. I'm from that Elijah Muhammad school of thought. Do for self and kind. We could spend hours arguing over what people are not doing.
I'm saying these educators have failed our young people, and we're paying them top dollar for it.
What they've done, Donnie, is they've shown you who you cannot turn to. And so what we do is then we turn to those who we can. So those, just like David is saying, Aaron Mabin and those who have put together organizations that are working. Okay, so David, you started off talking about fathers and daughters. The first thing that came to my mind was I have a friend who just said something very profound to me. And what he recognized is that he has to be the best example of a man for his daughter because he is the first man in her life. And so, but what that does is that helps us to understand we've got to set a positive example. We've got to move forward with positivity in order to be productive and progressive. And so we can't keep focusing on the negative. If I talk about my dad, who I think is absolutely fabulous because I know now who he is, but I didn't learn about who he was until after he died. I was so angry with him when he was so alive that I did not have give myself an opportunity to build a relationship with him. So that's a loss for me, but it doesn't have to be a loss for somebody else because they can learn from my experience. That's wisdom, learning from the mistakes of others. And so what we do, we can look at the mistakes that have already been made and continue to move forward on that positive note, being productive and making progress. So what you're saying is being able to find those in our community who are doing good. So let's identify that. Who are those who are doing good in our neighborhoods?
Right. Thank you, David. Is there a curriculum, lesson plan that's associated with your books? And how does a parent take your book and then talk through? You have an array of books and you have more coming, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a plan and things to do or the activity sheet that parents could use in order to help their children foresee and vision their future?
So yes, and when I designed Khalil's Way several years later, I put together a teacher's / parent guide where a teacher or a parent can actually go through. There's some lesson plans. There's a pre and post test. There's a quiz that students can take kind of middle way through the book. And again, understand, I did this because I saw a need.
Right.
Right. When I first decided to publish this book, I had publishing companies tell me Black boys don't read.
Mm.
And I was a black boy in the city of Baltimore. My parents took me to the Enoch Pratt Library every other weekend. Although I didn't do good in school because I always felt disconnected with school, I was an avid reader. And so as I started having children and realized when I would go to a Barnes and Nobles that we weren't represented, I said, I'm not going to keep asking white publishing companies to publish my books. I'm going to do it myself. And see, I think that's the mentality that we got to have. Why is it, Marsha, that we don't have, because I know you're a journalist. I know Donnie is also a journalist. Ms. Kane, I don't know if you're a journalist. Why is it that we don't have a school of a black journalism high school named after Langston Hughes or named after Ralph Ellison?
Right. And we have Dwayne Wickham, who is the dean of the School of Journalism right at Morgan. Why wouldn't you create a feeder school? And quite frankly, if we look at all of that, we've got Coppin and we've got Morgan, those are the black institutions that should have feeder schools that they relate to. We've got one of the best engineering departments at Morgan State University. And why don't we have some type of school that relates to it? Or minimally, even if we didn't have schools that are set up for that, you can create an institute within a school that you create. So there are enough vacant school buildings in the city of Baltimore and around the country. So let's not just stop here. Around the country, there are so many vacant buildings, corporate type buildings, that we could literally create 3 or 4 or 5 different programs that you could take through there, that children could be in one institute with one school with different institutes set up right inside of them. And with that, then you can walk out with a certification and go get a job wherever you want to go. And so now you're looking at how do you create an environment for people to be in a space where they can let their brain breathe and learn and absorb. We have to create that. We need it as a mandate, and we need to work towards what our future is really going to look like 20 years from now.
David, you have Morgan, University of Baltimore, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, College Park, Coppin, Bowie, St. Mary, UDC, Howard University, all within 50 miles of Baltimore, all with black presidents. Do you think that this is something that they would be interested in discussing?
I know Coppin does have a school, the Coppin Academy. I know Howard University has a math science school on Howard's campus.
Right.
And again, when you look at the history of particularly HBCUs were created out of necessity. Right. And I just think that we got to go back to that model of creating stuff out of necessity.
Well, we have to recognize the necessity. Because it is a necessity.
We got to recognize the necessity, and we got to pour all of our energy into that. For me, might disagree, but all of our energy needs to be poured into creating our own reality.
Well, that's a conversation that we certainly need to take to another level. I think that it was a nice stirring the pot the other night on Clubhouse, but you look at the Harlem Children's Zone, and there's another brother that's got black boys in a private school. I think it's in Ohio or Chicago. And we know that we have to take charge of what we want. And I'm looking at what Sandy's doing here, and it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So if you start thinking about what happens in a household where you're homeschooling, and what the result of that input, that positive reinforcement, the challenge of a child's mind, the commitment to education and reading and learning and writing, that is the kind of commitment that we need to be able to galvanize and put together a chain of schools across this nation, because our children are suffering and it's shameful.
And really quickly, Marsha, I want to connect you to a really dynamic sister who created the Sankofa homeschool network. Her name is Mama Monica Utsi. I'll send you her information.
Okay.
She's created these homeschool networks out of necessity pre-COVID. And so what she's actually in Ghana right now, but she does virtual tours of Egypt, of Ghana.
Oh, we would love that. Yes.
She's created this out of necessity because when her children were not getting what they needed from the schools that they were attending, she decided to create this out of necessity.
I love it.
I'll send you, and there are bold Black people across the United States who realize that we've been complaining for too long.
Woo! Yes.
And it seems like our complaints, our petitions are falling on deaf ears. And I'm not saying we stop that, because I think that there's always got to be a level of agitation. But while we agitate with one hand, we got to build with the other.
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. What are 4 things that you want parents to walk away with today?
So 4 things: the power of reading. I remember growing up as a little boy, and my parents would put National Geographic magazines on the kitchen table. And even though I couldn't really understand everything that I was looking at, I literally fell in love with Africa and Asia and other cultures outside of the US. And so just the power of having books in your home, right? I remember when my daughter was younger, she might have been 8 or 9 years old, and I always had books in the backseat of my car. I look in the rearview mirror. She was like 8 or 9. She was reading Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington.
Right.
And she was only 8 years old. And I had to help her with some of the history. And then she was like 11 or 12. And I got the big old copy of Souls of Black Folks in the back seat. And she's trying to read Souls of Black Folks because she saw her daddy reading Souls of Black Folks. So the first thing is the power of writing. The second thing is that we are all connected. And the reason why I say that we're all connected is I really want to get families, even after we start really getting through COVID, I really want families to start connecting with each other and start participating in culturally enriching activities on the weekends. Because I just think young people now spend too much of their time on social media and on their devices. And I just think that there's so many things that we can do by connecting families, right? And sometimes those activities, might be fun, but there's also some educationally relevant activities that families can do. The third thing is to my men, that we are losing too many Black men to preventable diseases. I've lost maybe 6 to 7 Black men who I had a great relationship with over the last couple months, not to COVID. One brother died of COVID, but to heart attacks, strokes, and diabetes. And so one of the things that I do, I've assembled a group of brothers and we walk. Sometimes I'll come to Baltimore, we'll do Montebello, we'll do 4 to 6 miles. Sometimes we meet in Columbia, we do 4 to 6 miles. Sometimes they'll come out to DC. And so we walk, we talk, we build. And so the third thing is, for them sisters, if your husband is consistently laying on the couch, binging on Netflix, encourage him to take a walk, by a treadmill, something. But our brothers have to begin to embrace our physical and mental health. And then the fourth.
David, how would you encourage those wives? Because the first thing comes to my mind is, husbands don't always listen to their wives. They say, oh, I work hard, leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. And they want to lay around. How would you encourage those wives to be the encouragement for their husbands rather than just using words?
So this is a PG show. So I'm gonna keep it PG, Donnie. I don't want to say anything that your sponsors are gonna be like, hey, you know how to convince them.
Yeah, you are selling children's books.
Right. You know how to convince the brother to do what you want him to do. You can get that brother to get up and walk 3 miles. If he knows when you come back home that there might be, you guys might have a good afternoon or good evening.
There won't be no afternoon.
Right. I mean, Miss Kane, you know how to make that thing happen. And so so that's a shout out to the brothers, but our mental and physical health. I see my therapist like twice a month because I experienced some things growing up that I shouldn't have seen as a teenager. And so I see my therapist at least twice a month. The fourth thing really quickly is I'm trying, you said three things or four things, Marsha?
Four. I gave you four.
The fourth thing is we got to support Black businesses. I know we like to talk about it, but we really got to support Black businesses, even if we got to go out of our way to support a Black business. And even if you go to the Black restaurant and they get your food order wrong, you speak to the manager, you let them know that they got your food order wrong. Because how many times have we ordered food from Domino's and the pizza came wrong, but we didn't just say, I'm never dealing with Domino's anymore. We're too hard on our people, right? But if we're going to win in the Black community, we got to start spending more money with Black businesses. In the city of Baltimore, there's some outstanding Black businesses that are just not getting the support that they need.
Mm-hmm. So we only have a couple minutes left. Give us your
well, let's hit the internet and we can go as long as you'd like. I got to get this piece in, Marsha.
Go ahead.
You alluded to mental health. We can't gloss over that.
Yeah.
It's real, and too many of us. You
were talking about the physical things that are killing Black men. Stress is killing Black men and Black women.
And let me just say, for the brothers, I'm part of 2 men's healing groups that are extremely therapeutic. There's a brother in Baltimore named Dr. Henry Gregory. He's a clinical psychologist. He runs a virtual men's group every other Saturday. If people are interested in joining, it is absolutely powerful. Men have an opportunity to be vulnerable. So you can just reach out to me on any social media platform if you want to become part of the men's healing group. And then when the weather breaks, I'm going to start taking those brothers fishing, because I'm probably one of the few Black men that you're going to meet who is a fly fisherman. And I also do freshwater and saltwater. Those are the things that help me stay whole and stay mentally sane.
You drink salt water.
What you say?
No, he said saltwater fishing.
Saltwater and freshwater fishing, along with fly fishing, Donnie. But I'm also Donnie.
What's fly fishing?
You seen them white dudes out there fly fishing with the. I'll take you one day. You're actually standing in the middle of the river. You got your waist tie joints on.
Last time I went fishing was on the Eastern Shore. I was the only Black on the boat, and the fish were racist.
Okay, Donnie. Well, look, I'm introducing Black men and Black women to fishing and the power of just being on the water.
I just had a problem being on a boat with non-Blacks. I just had flashbacks.
Right. But the mental health piece,
that's really good.
It's a big piece.
Yes, it is. And the Black Mental Health Alliance here in Baltimore has a new executive director, and they're now submitting articles once a month into my newsletter. And it's really critical that we as a people don't deal with the mental health issues, and we really need to. We don't see ourselves doing that. And what's her name? Taraji. Yeah, she has a great program, and we were at the same conference last year.
Right, I spoke at the conference. Yeah, they're doing.
I moderated.
Taraji's doing great work. Black Mental Health Alliance is becoming the premier nationwide organization, and they're based in Baltimore, across the country, advocating for mental health. And I'm actually we're going to hopefully be having a major announcement about a book project that I'm going to be doing with them in the next couple of months.
Oh, that's wonderful. Good. So you've met Andrea and everything. You're all set.
Well, we go way back.
Okay. From NAACP.
Yep.
She's a bad sister. I'm really, really proud of her. And I'm glad and we miss everybody else because they set the groundwork, right? But this right here is going to be changing who we are as a community. So I'm glad to see that you're involved and you're going to do something.
David, you mentioned, well, you didn't mention Africa.
What did you want me to mention?
That it's there.
Right.
Oh, he talked about the homeschool mom who's in Africa right now.
Right. And so most people know that
Ghana, what I'm talking about. Stop playing, man.
Ghana has become like a second home for me. Like people wonder why I go. I leave to get out of here, to get away from racism, white supremacy, to rejuvenate. And it's the only, I only feel safe when I'm overseas. Like I literally only feel safe. 2019 or was that 2019? I was in Cuba for almost 2 weeks. Felt at ease, felt safe. And so I'm gonna be going to Ghana for.
You felt there like white people feel here,
right?
Got you.
I always tell people you got to get immersed into international travel. I was on a Clubhouse group the other day, Donnie, and here we go. It was all sisters who are expats. I mean, they living in places like China, United Arab Emirates, and they killing the game. The UK, living here, having mainly like virtual businesses where they can make money. I've met more sisters overseas from the US who are killing the game and who've changed their quality of life. There's a sister who I don't know if you guys are familiar with this sister who has created a retreat in Belize to take Black women to Belize for 2 weeks to kind of deprogram from the stress of being in the US. But again, there's a lot of things that our people are doing. We just need to talk about it. We need to amplify it, and we need to also figure out ways to fund our own freedom, because I think too often we waiting for white folks to set us free.
It's all about.
I like that term. Fund our own freedom.
Gotta fund. If you go to my Instagram page, I posted something today. We gotta fund. We have enough money in our community that we could open up our own schools. We could any of the things that we want to do that have a price tag, we can do it.
I agree.
So David, are you ever going to do any books on dating tips?
I try to stay. I mean, there's some areas, Donnie, that I try to stay away from.
I mean, you're a natural comic. I mean, I'm sure you have some advice on getting couples together, on relationships.
My best advice is I'm married, but I only like people that like me. That's it. You take that to the bank, Donnie.
All right. Final contact.
There you have it.
I didn't hear you, Donnie. What'd you say?
What's your contact information? Thank you for coming out. We're really glad to have you because we only get to interview you like what? I mean, now that you're famous, like once every 3.5 years.
No, Donnie, I don't really do a lot of interviews because I'm really tired of talking. I think talking is cheap anywhere in the world. And I just think that, like, so for example, when I look at Donnie, I'm gonna put Donnie on blast for a second. I've been saying to Donnie Glover for years that I want Donnie to create a summer journalism academy for our babies. That I want Donnie to pull all of the amazing journalists that he knows locally and across the country and expose our children to the power of writing. And if he builds it, he will get funded. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. What I mean, when you think about the history and the literary tradition in Black Baltimore, why don't we have where are these journalism academies for young people?
They don't have them.
That's a great question, David Miller. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get on to this entrepreneurship lady, but thank you so much. We love you dearly.
Thank you, David.
And continued success.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
So we'd like to welcome to the stage, and I know you weren't expecting this. This is Black woman entrepreneur here in the city of Baltimore, 4711 Harford Road. And Marsha, she is as tenacious a businesswoman as you would ever meet. LaShawn Noakes, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning, all.
Good morning, LaShawn.
Thanks for having me.
What's the name of your shop?
Main Obsession Salon. It's on Harford Road. Yeah. We're a full service salon. I do everything. We do braids and everything. And starting the end of February, it's going to be a teeth whitener. She's going to be starting doing like, for your smiles.
Smile service is nice.
Yeah.
That's great. How long have you been in business?
I've been in business for 32 years. And
what?
I've been in
You don't even look like you look like you just 32,
know,
girl.
right?
What else they doing in that shop? You looking that good?
Thank you. And
When you know what to do, right?
Yeah, thank you. I've been at this location for 12 years now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to go into business for yourself?
It never ever was really a thought or anything like that. With me doing hair, when I did it, it was like all knowing in me, and it just clicked. It was like everything was just set up for it to happen. And I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. It's like I booth rented everywhere. I did commission. And one day out the blue, I just went and signed a lease somewhere. And it's just been going on ever since. So
I love it. So how do people get in touch with you? And tell us about the rest of your services.
Okay. I do everything except for braids. I do weaves. I do short hair. Short hair and color is like my specialty. And it's also a part-time braider. And I have an Instagram account, and it's Main Obsession Salon _ And I also have a Facebook account as well. And Maine is spelled MANE, and Obsessions is with a Z at the end of Obsessions. I try to put a little twist on it. Yeah, but I'm located right there, Harford and Cold Spring, right there where Moravia and Cold Spring meets, right there. Yeah, I'm right there at the intersection where the McDonald's is.
Oh, okay.
I'm here 5 days a week, Tuesday to Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
So are you seeing a change in your business now that we've been under COVID for a whole year? Or people still handling their business?
Yes, I see a lot of things have changed. I had to really get out there and do some things for myself because I didn't really have like everything really set up for myself. I had like a little savings, but I had to really get out there and do what I had to do. And thank goodness I had my paperwork and in order, because I was able to get my PPP loan through Square.
Great.
And that's the platform that I use, that I take credit cards, do my invoices through them and everything.
So do you have a website set up so that people can reach you virtually as well?
Virtually as well. I have my Google set up where some people can they can locate me. Like when you Google my name, like my whole page will show up with my page with some pictures, and you can also book through there. I like the Google thing because it comes straight to me. I really like the Google. It comes straight to my email. It's instant. It's really instant. I like it.
Do you sell products other than services?
Yes. I have. I wish I had like something I could move with, but I have. Like right now, I have like packages for like your things at home, since people are more home now. So I got my retailer. I got my representative to get me set up these packages. So I'm doing like the shampoo, the conditioner, and the detox shampoo with the packages. So I've been doing those, and just your finishing products like your oil, your spritz, your shine. But what I noticed from the pandemic, from all my new clients, I have a lot of new clients.
Good.
Yeah, a lot of women are really going short, and they wear their own hair now. A lot of them, they left the natural state. They left, like a lot of them are leaving it. That's what's happening to me on my end. I don't know about anybody else's, but on my end, I have a lot of new people. Yeah.
So I heard you talk about products. So you sell hair products there in your salon. So are they products that you created, that you manufacture?
No, I do a shea products. That's like Nubian oil. The Nubian oil, I sell that. And some of design products, I haven't seen none of my reps for them. But like Naked products, I use their products. I really like their products.
What do you like about them?
I like about it that it's really good for our hair texture. It works. It does what it needs to do, what I need for it to do. And I can choose, I can also choose what I want to use, depending upon your hair texture, how much I want it to straighten, and or how sensitive your scalp is as well.
Mm-hmm.
Are you finding that people have a lot of issues with dryness in their? My hair is really dry, like for real. It's crazy. What would you recommend for that?
I would recommend. I would first of all, I would like to see like what you're using first, because I don't use like a lot of alcohol-based things. Shea. A shea. Okay. Well, I guess maybe for you, what you could do probably like a hot oil treatment or something like that. And with I'm not familiar with their full line because I mostly use their dandruff shampoo, and I also use the oil a lot. So it's like I'll use a lot of different products, different product lines, but I'll pick my favorite ones that I need, for what I do to get me.
So maybe next year we'll get your hairline.
That'd be nice. I would like to do a perm. I really would like to do a perm, and I got something for like natural hair, and also like like good literature, because I see a lot of people like gravitating towards like YouTube and doing different things to their hair, and then they come here and it just be a mess. Like they'll create their own oils, put it in, and then press their hair out, and I'm like, what are you doing? Frying chicken? You know what I mean? Like so. It's like, I guess something with, a little bit more knowledge to it and reaching out, and then I guess maybe doing more lives and questions. I guess I have to get used to it, not be nervous.
Here first.
So I guess I could get used to it. I could probably kind of reach out there that way a little bit more.
LaShawn, when I think of your mentor, Ms. Debbie Wicks, I know that they have been advocating for Baltimore's beauty salon owners to come together.
Yes.
When you think of the buying power of Black women, when you consider that we as a community nationally have $1.5 trillion in annual disposable income, and then you also consider that a Black woman named Annie Turnbow Malone was the pioneer in the Black hair industry.
Right.
Today, China and India have the industry on lock.
Yes, they do. They have for a very long time. Yeah.
Do you think that Black women will ever retake the Black beauty industry?
Do I think that? Well, I see a lot of things happen like locally. I see a lot of people not coming together like as one big platform.
Because let's be clear, Black women could put any of them out of business overnight.
I guess that goes along with, like the international. So I guess if we had someone that was kind of like based internationally, like in those areas where it is prevalent, I think that maybe we could have something like a good takeover. But just sitting here on our home front and just trying to do it from here, it needs to be like someone internationally. I think it needs to be a link.
Well, what I'm getting to is when you first got into industry, you were trained to use perms and clippers, and you and your colleagues, you were trained to deal with natural hair. When you went to school, you didn't go to school to learn how to do weaves, did you?
No, when I went to school, it was all protocol. It was all sterilization, sanitation. It was all on safety measures, draping properly, the proper application of the products, and how to greet people, the chemistry of hair, a little bit on, like the electrons, with like using different beauty tools and that nature, and then management, and that's it. But what I noticed that with the new hair school books, they have that in the new hair school books. They have the weaves, they have the braids, they have all that right now. It really has changed. Like the book has really changed. When I saw the book, I was like, oh my God. Like everything I learned, it was like raw tea. It was like raw knowledge to me. Like everything that they learning now, like already learned, had to go on my own with it. Yeah.
So what I'm getting to is I saw a 10-year-old girl on Saturday, and she had weaves in, and I'm just wondering well, they were braids, my bad. I just, what happened?
Well, what happened? Well, shush. I'm thinking it's more or less, well, with me, I noticed like with my children that's growing up, it was more of exposure. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing what's out there, like social media, you know, they get to see what's out there and they want it. They want it really bad. But I have a granddaughter, and sometimes she get them in and sometimes she doesn't, you know, and I really don't like all the extra stuff, you know what I mean? But for the most part, it's just, it comes along with our culture, I guess, with the braids and the color. And once I look back into history, like a lot of things that we do now is like an extension from us already. It's already in us. It's already all knowing. But the basis of everything with stuff is the chemicals and where it's coming from. Like a lot of the braiding hair and stuff, it has like the Kanekalon in it. And Kanekalon, people think that's like the name of the hair. But that's the name of the chemical that they use in it. And it does really mess with your puberty, you know, with giving birth.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a lot of chemicals and things they do with the process of hair. That is a lot. It's a lot.
But how many people really understand that and know that? I mean, seriously. So if somebody is going in and they're buying a package of hair, is there a warning sign that says on this may cause blah, 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 blah? Is the manufacturer putting that on there? Or you?
Nope, none of them at all. It even the chemical even reshapes the bonds on each one of your hair strands. So they're not going to tell you that. No.
So I'm seeing women with hairlines that like Stevie Wonder now.
That's because they need to go to a better braider, because you have different levels of stuff. You know, I'm not saying nobody that does it unprofessionally that doesn't, because some people, their attention is more than others. You know, some people start a braid with a knot. Some people don't. You know, so it's all in the person's technique, and you need to, you know, ask a person about their technique.
So by the time these women reach the age of 40, they're gonna be bald headed.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Oh yeah, I've seen some hairlines totally back. Yeah. Like a lot of the hair stuff that was like for like people that had like cancer, or like that was like in the movie industry with the lace fronts and all, like they're doing it for like an everyday hairstyle, and it's not supposed to be for that. So they're using the glue from a movie on your hairline and making it everyday look when it's not for that. So yeah, hairlines are like far and few. Yeah.
So do you encourage your clients to do research for themselves about understanding how to care for their, you know, the root and the shaft, and understanding the differences in the chemicals and things like that? Or do you provide that education for them when they come to you?
Yeah, I do that as well. I have one client, she would never really grow hair right here. It would always fall out a lot. And so I've always been into holistic health since my 20s. I really, really, really liked it. So I say like, you know, like African, you know, American herbs, and, you know, and Asian, you know, Chinese medicine. So I told her that, and she had an addiction to crabs. Like she had to eat crabs. She needed it. And she would skip her appointment to go eat crabs, you know. So I was like, your iodine levels are off. Your iron levels are off, and you need to get it together, because, you know, it's going to play against you. So she went to the doctors, and her iron was low, and the kind of iron that she needed iron infusion, you know, like taking a liquid vitamin, it didn't do good for her. So, she lost her addiction to crabs, and she got up every morning and started working out. She had energy to do everything, and she has a hair full of hair now. As a matter of fact, she doesn't wear a short look anymore. It's like a roller set now. It's like about this length now, all over. So it's like
important for us to pay attention to our health, and you as a beautician or cosmetologist and hairstylist have an opportunity to actually see what's going on with a person just by looking at their hair.
Yes, yep. I can look at your hair and tell if you're in a med. I can tell you what kind of baldness that you have. I can smell your hair and see if you just had a chemical, and all kinds of things, you know.
So I think it's really interesting for me now that I have gray hair and a lot of it, and it keeps growing gray. So, which is a whole new thing.
It's like in a class of its own. So it's like you want to do like a lot of softness and maybe some preconditioners and stuff to kind of tame it a little bit, you know.
Oh, it's on regular, girl. This stuff, and it stays dry, which is really interesting. So,
so LaShawn, in the middle of this pandemic, what is the mental health status of your clients?
Oh my gosh, a lot of them. I have some that are really extreme with it. They're very far extreme with it. Like they haven't come outside at all. So, so they're doing they're doing their own thing with their hair. I have some that like one-on-one appointments, so I'll do that. So it's like I have extra masks for everybody. The mask, we have to change them throughout the day because you just can't come in with your regular cloth mask.
I tell you, Marsh is the one who stayed at home. She's not coming outside. She is isolated, so she's looking for that advice of what can I do in my home to care for my dry hair and make it moist and beautiful.
You're looking at an inmate.
I'm learning new dances. And I don't care. My behind is old, and all y'all young people don't know how to wear masks. I'm going to keep my little booty right in here.
You're right. You're good. But see, I have cans of Lysol. My clients, they hook me up with Lysol and everything. So I wipe down and I do what I'm supposed to do. I try not to overcrowd and let nobody kind of like overlap. So I kind of like space things out throughout the salon or whatever, you know. But for the most part, it's been working out good. It's been working out good.
That's great.
LaShawn, you said earlier, and just share what you want to share, but you said you had to do what you had to do in the middle of COVID.
Right. Okay, so by me being single and alone, so I always looked at different things that I could do outside of hair. So once I had got me a truck, I had got me Uber, I got Lyft. So I would do Uber, I did Lyft, I did Amazon Flex, and I also, I sell trainers and stuff, the waist trainers and all. So people was buying those, I was delivering those, I was delivering everything. I was from here to, oh my God, to the borderlines of stuff, areas I never even knew. I said, if we ever have what they call it, apocalypse or whatever, I'll know where to go just from the
That's right, girl. You're making it with your self-sufficiency, and that is phenomenal. Congratulations.
So it worked out really well. It worked out fine. So this is my first 2 weeks actually back full time because I still was like looking at the patterns of everything. And some of my clients, they weren't really consistent as my new people. And then looking at the news and the numbers, and then I said, okay, I'm ready now. And it's been a blessing. So since January the 1st, I've been like really, really, really busy.
That's awesome. I'm so proud of you. Yeah. You want to sell a waist trainer right here?
Yes, I have them for men too. I know you got 6 on.
Send him a couple of them. He been eating all that fast food.
Cool. Don't let him get you twisted. I know how to cook. Made a big old pot of spaghetti last night.
All that pasta.
Okay, that sounds good.
So you know that trainer's gonna come in handy.
Can we see what it looks like?
Let me show y'all one. Okay, this is the one I have for like the men. This one right here. And it's safe for women too. But I have some ladies that have a really large stomach, so they had to kind of like start with like these as well. And I like them. They're really nice.
Well, what do they do?
They help they help you out with like my neoprene ones, the ones with the yellow inside. They're my really favorite ones because they kind of like really penetrate into your layers of your skin and your muscles and everything.
And what do they do?
So that's like really my favorite one. Yeah.
They choke the crap out of your stomach.
No.
LaShawn, Marsha wants you to tell her, what do the waist trainers do, please?
They choke out the fat.
Shut up.
You can sweat. It helps you to sweat. It brings more heat to the area. It's like a thermal heat, and it brings it to the area. So you're gonna sweat more in that area.
Okay.
So I have clients that bought some, and 2 weeks later they were to another size in 2 weeks.
Okay, so it just goes around your waist, or it goes around.
And I have one that's like I call her the triple whammy. So she goes around your waist and your thighs. It's all in one. So.
Oh,
I got a great idea.
How can we get in touch with you? Sit down.
For a head. You got one to go around the head?
I want one to go around your mouth. So how do I get those from you?
So how can we get in contact with you, LaShawn? How can our followers follow you?
Oh gosh, I have an Instagram. Should I give you my number on here? Or
should I? Whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want people to know.
Don't give anything you're not going to respond to. Whatever works for you.
Phone number.
Okay, it's 410-254-2244.
All right, we shared it.
All right. LaShawn.
If they mention this show, will they get any kind of...
No.
If they mention...
They're going to be supporting a Black business. That's what they're going to be doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And also, you know what?
Large.
Yeah, I have different sizes. I have up to 5X.
Oh, okay. So,
and also what I noticed,
5X your head, Marsha.
Yeah, I have small to 5X.
Cover your mouth, boy. Go ahead.
So, LaShawn, are you mentoring any other younger salon owners?
As a matter of fact, the young lady that just left me. She just opened up her salon January 1st, and she was with me for 10 years. Awesome. And, wow. So the young lady that's getting ready to start, her name is Karay, and she's doing the teeth whitening, and she so I've been kind of like helping her out with getting things together. So she'll be starting that on the weekend, starting the end of the month. And Tylisa, she has does the braiding here as well. So it's like I kind of help them out a little bit because they still have like other jobs in the nursing field as well. But for the most part, everyone that's worked with me underneath me, they all have their own hair salons.
Sounds like you can do a consulting business. Excuse me. So put that.
Yeah, I did. That's why I changed. That's why I changed my email to LaShawn.image@gmail.com because that's what I wanted to do. That was one of my main focus because I wanted to like help people and then bring it all together because sometimes I sell clothes too. So I wanted to do the image consulting as well.
All that.
Because I did take a class for consulting and I got a certificate for that. That was like 12 years ago.
Awesome.
That's funny that you brought that up, though. That's really funny that you brought that up.
I gotta ask you, LaShawn, there was a time, and I'm talking about the mid-'80s. I was down in Atlanta going to school, and everybody in the country talked about Baltimore women and the Baltimore beauty salons.
Yes. Yeah, well, I've done really good in the industry. I've done really good. And I took care of my family. No any issues. I love it. Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is Baltimore had a strong reputation for the short haircuts.
Oh yeah, most of them. I still do them. I know how to do barber and stuff. I know how to draw designs in your hair, fades. If you come in with black hair, you leave here with it white, I got you. I can do it all. But we all know. What I really miss about Baltimore, and from that point down that you made, we used to do a lot of hair shows here. Like that's gone. The whole ambiance of the whole hair thing, the whole creativity, to me, is not there anymore. Because all I see now is like a lot of wigs, everybody doing the same thing.
Sean, I'm going to get in touch with you because I got an idea for your hair show.
Okay, cool. That'll be nice. I like that.
Nice. LaShawn, I'm seeing 16-year-olds in wigs. What in the world is going on?
Yes. Oh man, it's when I went to my youngest son middle school a couple of years ago. I couldn't believe it. I was like really blown. Like they look like little old ladies. They look like, yeah, and it was just a little too much. It was just a little too much. Yeah.
No, I'll tell you, even back in the 90s, my sister was started using hair weaves, laying tracks in her hair when we were in high school.
Yeah.
You know, it's not new, but I think it's more prevalent because the kids see it more prominently, like you said, on social media, then they want to do it more. So what is your recommendation to the young ones or to the parents of the young ones who want to get this? What do you tell them in order to make sure that they don't damage their hair at such an early age?
They need to let them hit puberty first before they do anything. They haven't even reached puberty yet for anything yet. Like they putting perms in too early. They putting rinses in too early, highlights in too early. And everything changes, you know, your nail beds change, they get nails too soon. You know, stuff is still soft, you know, things are not really fully in place yet, you know. Your hormones not even intact yet. And then you just going ahead and destroying, because those supposed to be the greatest part of your years is your younger years. And you have, you know, your hair's full, you know, up to like you almost like 30 years old, you know, like enjoy it, you know.
Right.
They're not enjoying it. They're not embracing it. Yeah.
They're not enjoying their natural beauty.
No.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of you and all the stuff that you're doing. And, you know, it sounds like these are a couple of really great opportunities that you have to expand. And we just had an author on a few minutes ago. It sounds like you have a history that you could actually document and offer advice and create an environment where you could actually write a book that could talk about all of the things that you already know that you spit so quickly, right?
Yes.
And so if you take that time to gather your thoughts and organize it while we're under COVID, now's the time. So that'll be your next piece that speaks to hair, speaks to age, speaks to what happens with your bodies, because you know the science, you know the biology, you have the management skills, you see it, you know, understand industry, the whole 9 yards. So I wish you well, and I
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
You're a role model, and you're doing some wonderful work. And congratulations! And I like the fact that you know how to grind when you need to, girl.
Yeah.
That's what we all be doing.
Marsha, you gotta hear this part. LaShawn, you slid it in there. You was working the graveyard shift for Amazon.
Yes. Yeah.
The graveyard shift.
Right. Because you had to handle your business. Period.
Yeah. Because I got tired of like putting all the miles on my vehicle. So I went inside of Amazon, you know. So I went inside and I was doing 36 hours in 3 nights. And I was doing it overnight. I was doing, what was that, 6:30 to 6:45 in the morning. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was doing that. So I still work something here, you know.
And then went to the salon.
And that's the entrepreneurial spirit. That's what you get when you deal with somebody who is self-sufficient and they're not looking for somebody else to hand them a paycheck every week. You're going to make it happen, and you're going to do what you got to do in order to make your ends meet and to fund your goals, funding your freedom, as David said.
And let me say this one last thing. The reason I mentioned about bringing the beauty salon owners together, as difficult as that may sound, you have a lot of buying power. When you look at the salons on Harford Road alone, if you took those salons and the ones on Bel Air Road and you formed an organization and say y'all bought all of your supplies from the same entity, or you bought collectively, your price would go down and your spending power would go up. I don't like how people treat us on our stuff. I don't like that. I really don't. And I don't like how other people use our image to sell their product.
So if you really want to support, I'm sorry, Donnie. Go ahead, keep on. I'm sorry.
I want our young Black girls to know when they are getting pimped by corporations.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you can do is you can look on the back of some of the products in the store, and it'll be the Proud Lady symbol on the back. So I think those are like the Black products owners, the makers, with the Proud Lady on the back of it. You can go by that as well.
Okay.
So salon owners got to share that information with each other. So
Yeah. As long as it has a lady on the back, you'll see it. And she's like the side profile, and his hair is like it has texture to it. It's a picture of her.
One group your mentor introduced me to years ago was BOBSA, BOBSA, Black Owned Beauty Supply Association out of California. Okay. So it's important that you know your buying power and your spending power.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. I've got to dash.
Thank you, LaShawn.
Wonderful.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kavette. Okay, down tomorrow, do your day, and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning.
Good morning,
Baltimore. Good morning, USA.
USA.
That's right.